The forest was dark, with only the faint light of the moon casting eerie shadows. A hungry fox prowled through the underbrush, hoping to find food. He sniffed the air but found nothing but dry leaves and the occasional rustle of insects. Frustrated, he continued forward, unaware of the hidden danger ahead. Suddenly, the ground beneath him gave way, and he tumbled into an old abandoned well. With a splash, he landed in the cold water below, gasping for breath as he struggled to stay afloat. The well was deep and slick, and despite several attempts to climb out, he couldn't escape. As dawn approached, the forest began to stir. A plump goat, searching for fresh grass, wandered along the path and came upon the well. She heard a faint noise and peered inside, spotting the fox sitting in the water. "Mr. Fox, what are you doing down there?" she asked. The fox saw an opportunity. Smiling, he said, "Ah, dear goat, I've discovered the most delicious water here. You must try it yourself." The goat, thirsty and trusting, immediately jumped into the well without thinking. She drank deeply from the water, praising its freshness. But soon she realized the mistake. "Wait. How do we get out of here?" she asked, panic creeping into her voice. The fox, pretending to think, suggested, "If you stand on your hind legs, I can climb onto your back and use your horns to leap out. Once I'm free, I'll help you up." The goat, trusting the fox, positioned herself against the well's wall. The fox climbed onto her back, then onto her horns, and with a final push, he leapt out of the well. He landed gracefully on the ground, stretching and shaking the water from his fur. "All right, Mr. Fox, help me out now," the goat called up, hopeful. The fox looked down at her with a smug grin. "Oh, dear goat, had you thought more carefully, you might have realized the difficulty of getting out. I'm afraid I must be on my way now. Farewell." The goat stood in stunned silence, the weight of her mistake sinking in. How could she have been so foolish? She had trusted the fox without questioning the situation, and now she was trapped. Regret filled her heart as she realized the truth of the fox's parting words. Hours passed, and the sun climbed higher in the sky. The goat grew tired and hopeless, her initial panic giving way to quiet resignation. Just when she thought she would never escape, the sound of footsteps reached her ears. A kind farmer, walking along the path, happened to hear her desperate bleats. Peering into the well, he saw the struggling goat and quickly fetched a rope. With steady hands, he lowered the rope down to her, instructing her to grip it with her teeth. He then pulled with all his strength, and slowly, inch by inch, he lifted her out of the well. The moment her hooves touched solid ground, she sighed in relief, her heart pounding in her chest.
The farmer patted her head gently, murmuring words of reassurance before leading her back towards the safety of the farm. The goat, now wiser from her experience, vowed never to make such a hasty decision again. She had learned a valuable lesson, one she would never forget. She knew now that it was important to think before acting, and to never blindly trust the words of others without considering the consequences. As for the fox, he continued his life in the forest, ever cunning, ever deceitful, always looking for the next fool to trick. But the goat would never be one of them again. She had learned her lesson the hard way, but it was a lesson that had changed her forever. And so, the moral of the story remains clear. Look before you leap, and never trust blindly, for not everyone who smiles at you has your best interests